Hello, squidlings. I am Squiddy Cube or Squiddy. I usually make animatics. Well, I only have one as of now. I plan on making more in the future whenever I get batteries for my pen. I wrote that before I got them, actually, so I have them now. They're usually about my OCs and their lore, so if you're interested, you should stay. Anyways, this is my usual video, obviously. This video is about my story that I'm working on called Mother of the Forest. One of my friends requested a description of the story, so I thought I'd make a whole video on it instead, because all of my stories and worlds are so complex that it just is easier to have a video on it, but I'll give you a brief description of the story. If you're interested in making a fan character as well, watch this. I know Mother of the Forest doesn't really have much of a fan base, and still this video will probably get at most 10 views, but I still want to act like it has an active fan base. I mean, it kind of does, but there's like 3 people, but I'm grateful those people are here. Also, I'd suggest watching this video while you're maybe drawing or something, because it won't be super entertaining to watch alone by itself. Anyways, now to the description of the story. Mother of the Forest has 5 main characters: Kali, Fia, Ren, Elliot, and Malaya. Kali is the mother, the one in charge, and has a strange feeling that something bad is going to happen, while the stress piles over her having to help her wife Mirgan take care of her children. Fia is Kali's sister, who doesn't remember her childhood. She struggles to get along with other people because nostalgia runs through the air constantly, or at least to her it does. She knows nothing about her childhood except for what Kali tells her. Ren is Fia's boyfriend, who thinks about the past constantly. He talks about it a lot to Fia, forgetting that she doesn't really like talking about it. Elliot is a hunter who is haunted by his past. Both of his children, Rory and Blair, wanting to come home to his children after oh my gosh, I forgot to put something in the script, hold on. Anyways, both of his children, Rory and Blair, are missing. He wants to come home to his children after many years of not seeing them. His coworkers hate him. Malaya is Elliot's coworker, the only one who doesn't hate him, that is. Her son Ren is missing, and she wants to find him when she can escape her job. That's basically all you really need to know about the plot for now. So my friend wanted to make a OC, or like a fan character, I guess, for the story. So if you also want to make a Mother of the Forest fan character / OC, watch this video. I've already said that. I repeat myself a lot. I'm also very bad at like talking, especially when I'm reading off of something, which is what I'm doing right now. So I may stutter and mess up my words a lot. Anyways, I'm also perfectly fine with AUs. The main thing about Mother of the Forest is that it's based off of Irish folklore. So if you wanted to make an AU where it's based off of your culture and folklore, that's fine. Honestly, I encourage it. I think it'd be really cool to see. I am aware that it has a fan base of like 5 people, but I still want them to have the full experience of it having a fan base, despite it being just extremely small. Anyways, let's get started with the setting. So, where does it take place? Mother of the Forest takes place in Ireland in the 2010s. I know, so long ago. It says 2017 in the script, but so I was like 8 when all this was happening. This isn't a true story, obviously. I'm just comparing how old I was in 2017, but so the characters, or at least most of them, live in the forest. They're all mythical creatures like selkies, phallids, marrows, or strange animal human characters. There are multiple areas of the forest where the characters live: the Fae village, the Selkie village, and the Grove. The Fae village is where Fae, the servitor, lives. She was the mother before Kali became the mother, but we'll get into that later. The Selkie village is where Mirgan and her children live. Kali also lives with Mirgan, and they're married. I love these two. The Grove is where Harley takes care of and grows his fruit trees for everyone. There's also a lab nearby called Vingreen Cove, which is ran by Nikita Vingreen, Brita Vingreen's cousin. If you know me from Lost, probably not, because I had like under 30 subscribers when Lost was a thing, but that's pretty much all of the settings here. You might hear my mom's boyfriend yapping in the background because he's always yapping. Anyways, now that we've got to the setting, let's get to the roles. So now the first role is the mother. This role is currently taken by Kali, and the mother is basically the one in charge. She keeps everyone and everything in line, just like a mother would. Now, the mother has to choose someone to be the daughter, basically like the heir to the mother's quote-unquote throne. The daughter is basically the mother's assistant or mother in training. That sounds really bad. Anyways, once the mother decides to retire because she's maybe getting old, something happens to make her unable to be in charge, like an injury, traumatic experience, or she dies. She becomes the grandmother, if she's still alive, obviously, and the grandmother makes sure the mother is in line and is in charge of her. The grandmother in Mother of the Forest, oh my gosh, that's a lot of mother, is Faye. The mother is Kali and the daughter is Fia. That's the system, but there are other roles. There's the healer, who's basically just a doctor. They get their herbs from a herbalist, who is their apprentice, who gathers herbs for medicines and creates them. Then there's the grove worker, who is Harley. He grows fruits from trees and gives them to the forest folk. There's no currency in the forest because they've learned how to manage without money. There's also people who create cloth and teaches other Fae how to create cloths and clothes. Murigan does this. She loves teaching other Fae how to create cloths and clothes. I should probably get into the kinds of clothes they wear now, but let me get into the lab roles first. So there's a lab called Vingreen Co. I already said that, which is owned by Nikita Vingreen's father. He's briefly mentioned in the story, but doesn't really appear. Nobody has seen him or even know if he's still alive. Not even Nikita herself. But Nikita is basically the one in charge. She's the lead scientist, and in the lab there's hunters and scientists. Hunters capture Fae and take them in to be experimented on. Hunters are also trained to hit the Fae in the face to weaken or blind them, so it's easier to capture them. Hence why some of the characters have the same scars across their noses. I'm reading the same thing over and over again. Hold on. Scientists experiment on the Fae. They will also do tests on them and sometimes dissect them just to see how their bodies function and react. Okay, that sounds like... It kind of reminds me of the I love gore. I just love seeing how people react to certain things. Those people. But there are experiments that aren't Fae. Sometimes you'll take in orphan children and mix their DNA with animal DNA or inject virus into them and see how it works. This is very rare though, because Nikita will get attached to said child and try to free them. Those are the roles of the scientists and hunters. So, what kind of clothes do they wear in the forest? Since they live in a forest, they don't have a lot of options. They will usually take the skins of already dead animals to wear. They don't kill other animals except for fish in the Selkie village, because Selkies eat a lot of fish, because they can turn into seals with their coats. If you didn't know what a Selkie was. They usually scavenge dead animals for their skins, but they do usually grow plants that can be turned into cloth, like cotton. Their clothes, the clothes they wear are usually very earthy colored, think like browns, greens, yellows, and sometimes reds if they use berries to dye their clothes. The only exception is Ren, because he came from a human town until he had to come to the forest. They say they dress... The way they dress usually depends on how they make their clothes, though they usually do skirts and ponchos because it's easy to make. They do pants and shirts as well as dresses. Kali and Fia wear more normal clothing because they live in Elliot's old house, which is on the edge of the forest. Ren usually does wear more normal clothing as well because he came to the forest not too long ago. So none of his clothes are torn or having to be replaced. Anyways, then there's hunters and scientists. The scientists or doctors usually wear lab coats or old nurse uniforms depending on their role. There are experiments who usually just wear long blue hospital gowns with shorts under them. There have to be shorts under them. Don't be weird. Anyways, I believe that's all you really need to know about the story so far and how the world works. If you're interested, you should subscribe and wait for the story to be released on Koto. Have a lovely day, night, or afternoon, and I'll see you whenever I post again. Bye!